Go through some of my kind of common mistakes I'm seeing agents make with Facebook. I like to do this webinar usually once a quarter. Each time I tend to find new mistakes and more common things that are happening, obviously as Facebook is evolving and the users get more experienced. So what I'm going to start off first talking about is really a common problem that I've seen for a long time, and I actually had a really good discussion with a gentleman a few weeks ago, and he, even after about a half hour of consulting, he could not figure it out. So the first kind of theme is getting lost within Facebook. And the one thing that I always try to explain is that your eyes should always be cognizant of this upper right-hand corner right here, okay? And what that means is all of you have a Facebook personal page, and all of you have a page for the agency, okay? So when you're toggling between the two, you want to keep an eye on this upper right-hand corner because it tells you which page you're in control of. So obviously right now I'm in control of my personal page, Ken French Jr. And when I click on the home button, it takes me to my news feed, to my feed of information. The things that are displaying on this feed all come from people that Ken is friends with or that I'm a fan of. So, as I go through here, Robert, Linda, I'm friends with them, Carrie, Dwayne, Kristen, John, Jeff, friends with all of them. But I'm also a fan of the Waldman Insurance Group. So when this company's posting, it's showing up on my feed because I'm a fan of theirs. So what I'm getting at is if we go into the upper right-hand corner here and we click the little gear or star, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to click on benefitstore.net and use Facebook as my business. So as I scroll down, we can see my business page, correct? And when I click on the home button, we actually see a new ticker here. There's different information. We're going to, again, notice in the upper right-hand corner, doesn't say Ken anymore. It says benefitstore.net. Even in the other upper left-hand corner, we see that my picture is gone and my company logo is here. So what I'm getting at is the personal page and the business page, there's no connectivity between the two, but they kind of have the same features. So you'll see that in my news feed, there's Cheney Insurance, the Marcy Stucco Agency, Farmers Insurance. These are pages that benefitstore.net went to and liked. So they show up on benefitstore.net's feed, okay? Not Ken French's, because Ken French didn't like them. Benefitstore.net did, if that makes sense. So I guess my point is it's important to be aware of that. And this was the issue I was having with the gentleman the other day. He was posting things, and he thought he was posting as his company, but he was really posting as himself. And he wasn't being cognizant of the upper right-hand corner. And I guess my point is this usually occurs when you enter Facebook in a non-traditional way. For whatever reason, this gentleman was actually going to his website, and he was clicking on the Facebook logo on his website, which was taking him to his business page, but taking him to his business page as himself. And Facebook wasn't allowing him to take over the page. So I don't want to confuse everyone too much, but first kind of tip, be cognizant of this upper right-hand corner. If you can kind of control that and understand that, that may solve a lot more problems than it's going to cause you, per se. So that's number one. Number two, and this is a basic one, but for whatever reason, people keep repeating the problem. And that is when you're posting, you have to use pictures. It doesn't matter if the picture is relevant, if it's not relevant. You'll notice as I scroll down here, it's just so important to get the user's attention. If I go back to my personal feed, you're going to see that it's full of all sorts of things. And the way, I guess the best way to put it is the consumer, especially these younger users, they're just flying through this stuff. Okay? They're looking for stuff that sticks out in their mind, something that hits them and pulls them in. And if you have a really nice, well-written 3 or 4 sentence post with no picture, they're going to fly right past it. So that's always been kind of one of the things I've always highly suggested. The picture itself doesn't have to do anything with the post, and that can be a strategy where you use an eye-catching photo, you know, to pull people in. I mean, here's a great one. I went to college with this kid randomly, and he's got a picture of an old Nintendo. I bet you that picture got him more views than you guys can imagine. I mean, look, he's got 53 other likes and multiple 10 comments on this post. I know it's not business related, but my point is all the people he's connected to, they saw that. That picture of the Nintendo, it sparked something in these people's minds. They related to it, and they read what he wrote, and they interacted. Regardless if that's business or personal, that type of success it shouldn't be ignored. And these are the kind of things I look for. These are the things I study when I try to get better with social media. I look for things that the consumer they relate to, and I try to utilize that in my marketing so people pay attention to my marketing. So that's number 2. I see a lot of people know pictures. Highly suggest it. It's a must at all times. Next one I've seen a lot as well lately, and pretty much what people are doing is they're going to their business page, and let's say they're posting an article on auto insurance. They're going to the business page. They're posting the article on auto insurance. Then they're going right back to their personal page, and they're posting the same article. That's not how I would do it. What it causes, what'll actually happen is if someone is your friend and your fan, they're going to get what's called a duplicate post. It's going to look bad. They're probably not going to read what you're writing. So what's really a better way to go about that is to post it on your business page. Okay, so let's say you post a great article on auto insurance. Then go back to your personal page and make sure that in the upper left-hand corner you see your picture. Okay? Then over here under your name, hopefully you have a kind of a link right into your business page. If you click on that, you should be accessing your business page, but in the upper right-hand corner, it still has your personal picture. So what you want to do is go down to that post that you really like and click on the share button, okay, under the post. I would suggest maybe writing a little bit on here. Here's a great post from my agency, blah, 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 and boom, hit share. And what it'll do is it'll accomplish what you want, but strategically it's going to get you more views, and that's what you're after. So never double post on personal and business. Always use the share button. But in order to do that, make sure that, like I said, in the upper right-hand corner you see your personal photo, because if in the upper right-hand corner you see the business photo, that share button is actually, it's not going to do anything. You're going to share it with your fans, the people you've already sent it to, so that doesn't make sense. Next one is a really good one, and this is what separates the beginners from the experts. I see a lot of people on their personal page trying to promote their new business page. So here's an example. You're just getting going with Facebook. You're excited. You're trying new things. You got the business page up and running, and you don't have too many fans yet, but you have a lot of friends on the personal side. So you decide to post something to all your friends saying, hey, Bob's Insurance now has a business page. Can you go there and like us and become a fan? That's what a lot of people seem to be doing. They kind of just say it. What you have to make sure is when you're promoting the business page on the personal page, you always have to put a link in the post. Okay? So when you're posting, here's the link to my page, right? And so you want to have some descriptive information. Hey, Bob's Insurance now has a business page for our insurance agency. Go to facebook.com/benefitstore.net and click the like button at the top middle of the screen to become a fan. Well, I always like to kind of correlate it to back when you were in like 3rd and 4th grade you were just starting to become a writer, and the teacher would have you, I still remember it today. We had to do a project where we had to write how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And all the kids went home and they wrote it up, and then during school the next day, the teacher had a jar of peanut butter, a jar of jelly, a knife, and some bread, and there would be a kid who would stand up there, and you would read the instructions word by word, what you wrote, and your grade was based on if the kid made the sandwich or not. And, you know, often the kids forgot to say, put the knife in the peanut butter, spread the peanut butter on, you know, the first slice of bread, put the knife in the jelly. So my point is it's the same thing. It sounds silly, but at the end of the day, if you want to get these people, the consumer, to do what you want them to do, you have to really break it down in a very simple manner and really provide step-by-step good instructions. Again, that is the difference between the beginner and the expert. The expert knows to kind of, you know, the expert knows to definitely make it simple for the consumer. Another thing, I see it often. For some reason, it's become more and more of a problem. I call it rapid posting. I see a lot of agencies, they go on to Facebook, and what they're doing is they're posting 2, 3, 4, 5 posts within a 3-minute span. Not a good idea. Good way to get people to tune you out. So let me break it down. If you want to post 2 or 3 times a day, there's no problem doing that. It's not going to affect anything in a negative way. Go ahead. But if you do that, space it out. Post at 8, post at noon, post at 4. I see a lot of people who will come on, you know, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They'll post 4 or 5 things within, 2 minutes. And what happens is the consumer sees 4 or 5 posts in a row on their ticker, and for me personally, I always red flag that as this guy, this person is just going crazy, and I ignore it. So if I'm doing that, I'm sure there's a percentage of people doing it. I would highly suggest not doing it. Have more balance. Next tip, if you're going to repost an article, on, let's say, reform or something going on, let me see if I can find a good one here. Always make sure that you type always make sure you type your opinion above it, or you give the person, or you give, you give the user kind of a summary of what the article's about. I don't see anything right off the bat, but that's what I would suggest. I see a lot of people who are just reposting news. Remember, guys, the consumer doesn't think of Facebook as a news company. They're going to go to CNN.com to get their news or whatever. So if you're going to post something that's an article, something that you found that you think is good, put your opinion in. Just say, hey, look, I found this article on CNN.com. It offers a really good review on why homeowners insurance is increasing in Florida, whatever. That's going to really help you get more views, because the people are going to say, okay, this guy's an expert. He's sharing a really helpful educational article that he seems to think is important. More likely you're going to get clicks, and more likely you're going to get interaction. And finally, the most important one, and guys, as more and more insurance agencies are using Facebook, and I'm estimating now we're at about 80%, you got to stay away from soliciting people. I know as a salesman it's in your blood to do everything possible at every second to make a sale, but that's not going to help you long term. And here's an example. I saw the other day, guy posted, hey, what are you paying for health insurance? I guarantee I can cut it in half. Give me a call. Or I had another guy saying, yeah, if you have auto insurance and homeowners, give me a call. We'll combine the two. We'll cut your percentage by 10%. All that stuff sounds good. It's good sales stuff. But at the end of the day, what you're doing, to me, it's always about projecting yourself. You're projecting yourself as a solicitor. And the consumer, they don't want to do business with the guy who offers the cheapest product. They want to do business with the specialist, the expert, the guy who's the guru who's going to help them solve their problem. I know all of you want to be that guru, but when it comes to online advertising and social media advertising, it's very important to walk that fine line. And I guess that's my point. There's a really big fine line between flat-out, bluntly soliciting people and projecting yourself to be the expert. And unfortunately, projecting yourself to be that expert, it takes a little bit more patience, and it takes a little bit more strategic kind of releasing of information, if that makes sense. So take your time, think about that kind of stuff when you're posting, and if you do, in the end, it's going to pay off. So guys, I'm going to put this on YouTube in a few minutes. Usually it takes me about an hour.